I want you to just picture the atmosphere of a reality television reunion show. We're talking specifically about the Summerhouse Season 10 reunion in June 2026.
Oh, man. The tension in that room must have been just, you could probably cut it with a knife.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the studio lights are glaring, the cameras are rolling, and there is this suffocating tension. And then this rumor that had been just burning through the fan base for months is finally undeniably confirmed.
Right.
Kyle Cooke sits on that stage and admits to hooking up with Southern Charm's Sally Carson.
It is, the kind of television moment that feels almost too destructive to be real.
Yeah.
Because the fallout doesn't just stay on one show. It stretches across multiple shows and casts. I mean,
Yeah.
It fundamentally alters the landscape of these overlapping reality universes.
Totally. And well, welcome to this custom deep dive. Today, we are staring down a massive stack of sources for you. We've got E! News reunion transcripts, reality blurb recaps, some really extensive profile interviews from Elite Daily, and even get this, some comprehensive Dutch entertainment reports.
Wait, Dutch reports? That's amazing.
Right. They painstakingly track the timeline of all this international crossover chaos.
Well, it is a sprawling web of information.
Yeah.
But our objective today is not to just rattle off who kissed whom.
Exactly.
We want to look at the mechanics beneath the drama. We're examining how the intense, compounding pressure of reality TV stardom.
The production schedules, the fans.
Right, a constant surveillance, how all of that distorts and sometimes completely obliterates the real-life relationships of the people on our screens.
Because before we can even begin to understand the sheer shock value of that Sally Carson hookup, we really have to look at the crumbling foundation that led to it.
Yeah, the marriage.
Right. The collapse of Kyle Cooke and Amanda Batula's 4-year marriage. They officially announced the end of their marriage in January of 2026, but, the real autopsy of that relationship takes place during part 2 of that June reunion.
That timeline is incredibly revealing, I think. January was the sterile public relations announcement.
Very PR heavy.
Exactly. But June is where we see the collision between the narrative Kyle wants to build and the reality Amanda actually lived.
Right.
When pressed by the host, Kyle emphatically denies having a, quote, full-blown affair. He insists he never slept with anyone else, but he does concede to inappropriate behavior.
Okay, let's unpack this, because his justification for that behavior is where things get really murky for me.
Oh, definitely.
He explicitly blames a very unhappy marriage, claiming his needs weren't being met for the entire time of their 4-year marriage.
Wow.
Yeah. He is essentially saying, well, I was starved for affection, so my wandering eye was inevitable.
Which is such a massive cop-out.
Right. I mean, wait, Kyle blames an unhappy marriage and unmet needs for his wandering eye, but isn't that just a classic deflection to avoid taking ultimate accountability for his own actions? It's like a Jenga tower where every block pulled out was a public appearance or cast rumor, and he's blaming gravity.
That is a perfect analogy, and you're right to push back on that. It shifts the psychological burden entirely onto his partner. When you live a marriage on television, the lines between genuine relationship struggles and produced storylines get so incredibly blurred. But Amanda, to her credit, refuses to let that narrative stand unchallenged.
No, she does not hold back.
Right. She fires back with a very specific, undeniable incident from a post-wedding party. She alleges Kyle explicitly asked another woman if he could make out with her.
Yep. And that woman immediately went straight to Amanda's direct messages to report the interaction.
Which is wild.
It is, and the sources show it wasn't just random partygoers in his crosshairs. We have Kyle offering up this bizarrely vivid detail about giving Meghan King a kiss goodnight while standing on his tiptoes.
On his tiptoes.
On his tiptoes, and it's such an oddly specific image. But Kyle also claimed in an interview on Watch What Happens Live that the television show acted as their form of couples therapy. And I have to push back on that entirely.
Oh, you absolutely should. For context, if you're listening to this and aren't super familiar with the Bravo ecosystem, Watch What Happens Live is this live, late-night, heavily alcohol-fueled after show.
Yeah.
Very alcohol-fueled.
Yeah. Cast members are put in the hot seat and pressured by fans and the host to defend their edited on-screen behavior in real time.
Right. It's intense.
It is an environment practically designed to force unforced errors.
Yeah.
Which is often where these admissions just slip out.
Exactly. And, thinking about the show as couples therapy just doesn't hold up. I tend to look at their marriage through the lens of physics, specifically the observer effect.
I like that.
Right. In physics, the simple act of observing a phenomenon inevitably changes that phenomenon. When you place a marriage in front of a camera crew for months at a time, you aren't just documenting it. You are fundamentally altering its chemistry.
The observer effect is the absolute perfect way to frame this. Reality television production requires narrative arcs.
Yes, the drama.
Right, it requires escalating conflict, dramatic tension, and neat resolutions. Real marriages operate on routine, quiet compromises, and privacy.
So when Kyle says on Watch What Happens Live that lingering trust issues from way back in 2018 ultimately doomed them, he is inadvertently admitting that the foundational cracks were always there.
He's telling on himself.
He really is. The cameras didn't act as a therapist's couch. They acted as a pressure cooker, just exacerbating every normal marital friction for the sake of a storyline.
Yeah.
He even admits he misses his best friend.
Which is sad, honestly. But it means the marriage was probably destabilized the second they signed their contracts. And when that structure finally collapsed, the collateral damage was widespread.
Very widespread.
Because Kyle didn't just land anywhere after the split, he landed on Sally Carson. And this isn't just a random bystander getting caught in the crossfire.
No, Sally Carson brings a fascinating layer of complexity to this entire ecosystem.
Yeah.
During the reunion, it is Lindsay Hubbard who officially drops the reality TV equivalent of a bomb.
Oh my gosh, yes.
She just calls out the makeout session between Kyle and Sally right there on stage.
Which forces Kyle to clarify that it happened the night before the February 2026 Summerhouse premiere party.
Right. And what stands out in the sources here is how the cast reacts to this. It really exposes the internal mechanics of these shows.
Definitely. I mean, Ciara Miller reveals she called Amanda immediately to report the kiss. She literally calls it absurd and frames the phone call as the ultimate proof of her loyalty as a friend to Amanda.
It highlights how information is currency within these casts.
Yes, gossip is currency.
Exactly. There is a strict expectation of loyalty, sure, but there is also immense power in being the one who holds and delivers the gossip first. It is basically an internal policing system.
Totally.
But if we shift the focus to Sally herself, we see a psychological profile that completely defies the standard reality TV stereotype.
Well, see, if you just look at her reality TV resume on paper, it reads like someone blindly chasing fame at any cost.
It really does.
Like a broken engagement right before her wedding led her directly to Clayton's season of The Bachelor.
Right, where she self-eliminated to supposedly avoid the toxicity.
Yeah, but then immediately popped up on Bachelor in Paradise.
Naturally.
Right. And from there, she jumps networks over to Bravo, landing on Southern Hospitality, where she hooks up with Gaston Rojas right before going on a date with Joe Bradley.
Just absolute chaos.
Absolute chaos. And finally, she arrives on Southern Charm, admits to kissing Shep Rose years ago, and spends a season pursuing both Craig Conover and Austin Kroll.
Wow.
So you have to wonder, I mean, fans are calling her desperate online, but is she actually the ultimate reality TV mastermind? It's like she's collecting Bravo show appearances like Infinity Stones?
What's fascinating here is that a surface-level read of that trajectory makes it very easy to just write her off as a clout chaser.
Yeah, exactly.
But the elite daily profile we pulled from our sources paints a stark, almost jarring contrast.
Mm-hmm.
By day, Sally has an intensely demanding high-stakes medical career.
Wait, really?
Yeah. She literally trains surgeons and hospital staff on how to use robotic systems for spinal surgery.
Oh, wow. I mean, the quote in the piece is incredible. She says, who gets to say every day that they're enhancing children's lives by straightening their spines?
Right.
That is profound, vital work. It requires precision, extreme control, and a hyper-structured environment.
Exactly.
But then, by her own admission, her night persona, her reality TV persona, is chaotic and male-centered.
And she explicitly traces that chaos back to a severe trauma response.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. She was cheated on by her ex-fiancé right before their wedding. She told the interviewer, quote, "I'm still effed up from it. I have trust issues."
Wow.
She acknowledges that she actively seeks out the wrong guys because she can predict the outcome. She knows they will hurt her.
So she isn't just hopping from show to show to get Instagram followers.
No.
She is actively seeking out environments that are fundamentally designed to manufacture rejection and emotional volatility. I mean, going from a devastating broken engagement straight into the hyper-competitive meat grinder of The Bachelor isn't a healing journey.
Not at all.
It is seeking a structured arena where her trauma response makes logical sense.
It is a clinical example of a trauma repetition cycle.
Yeah.
In her professional life in the operating room, she provides structure. She literally fixes spines.
Right.
But in her personal life, she seeks out situations that guarantee emotional injury because that chaos is what feels familiar to her post-trauma.
Mm-hmm.
The tragedy here is that the reality television industry enthusiastically rewards this chaotic behavior.
Oh, they love it.
They're essentially monetizing her unhealed wounds.
If you're listening to this at home, it's easy to just label someone like Sally as desperate. But when you look at that clinical profile, you realize we are watching something much darker.
Definitely.
She is completely aware of her patterns, yet unable to stop enacting them on camera. And a guy like Kyle Cooke, fresh out of a deeply public, messy marriage, is exactly the kind of predictable chaos she is drawn to.
They are two people utilizing the reality TV machine for completely different coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
But as messy as the Kyle and Sally dynamic is, Amanda was navigating her own fallout from the divorce. And the distraction she found proved just how inescapable this Bravo ecosystem really is.
Right. Because Amanda didn't just quietly retreat to heal. She found her own rebound, and she kept it entirely in-house.
She really did.
She started seeing her own castmate, Wes Wilson. And this choice triggers an entirely separate avalanche of drama.
It's just wild. They confirmed their romance in March 2026, which immediately sparked intense fan backlash.
Huge backlash.
Because West had a very public, very fraught romantic history with Amanda's close friend and castmate, Ciara Miller.
Right, the loyal friend who called about the tile kiss.
Exactly. The public reaction was so overwhelmingly negative that Amanda was actually forced to issue a public apology for the hurt the relationship caused.
But the backlash over Ciara was just a preview. Here's where it gets really interesting. The real structural collapse happened at the reunion.
Oh, yeah.
The sources detail this incredible moment where it is revealed that West had a secret girlfriend the entire time.
The whole time.
Yes. Since February of 2025, he had been in a relationship with a woman named Maja Moreno. It's like a director cutting scenes from a movie just to trick the audience.
The mechanism of how this secret was exposed is honestly just as fascinating as the secret itself.
It really is. Kyle Cooke suddenly pivots from being in the hot seat for his own marriage to playing lead detective.
Deflection at its finest.
Truly. He gathers the receipts, and right there on the reunion set, he orchestrates a live FaceTime call involving himself, Ciara, and Maja Moreno, directly confronting West.
Just incredible television.
And Maja dismantles West's entire narrative. She reveals they were in a completely exclusive relationship while he was filming. He called her his girlfriend, he told her he loved her, but he kept her entirely hidden from the cameras.
And the rationale he gave Maja for hiding her is the most telling part of this entire deep dive.
What did he tell her?
Well, according to Maja, West claimed he would literally be fired from the show for dating someone outside the Bravo sphere.
Oh my God. Let's really analyze that, because I think it is the key to understanding modern reality television. West didn't just act like a bad boyfriend.
Yeah.
He acted like a hyper-adapted employee in a toxic corporate ecosystem. He weaponized his employment status to manipulate a real-world partner into total silence, all while building a completely separate, highly produced romantic persona on television with Amanda.
This raises an important question, though. If we look at the collision of real life and Bravo life, he essentially argued that a standard human milestone, a healthy, stable relationship, was a literal fireable offense because it didn't provide the requisite conflict for his employer.
Right. It highlights the bizarre labor conditions of this industry.
Exactly.
It is emotional arbitrage. He is deliberately suppressing his actual lived reality, holding Maja in the dark to protect his job security, while simultaneously trading on his castmate Amanda's feelings to secure his storyline and boost his stock price on the network.
The sources completely back up that exact theory. There is a striking quote from Dara Levitan, another woman who previously dated West.
Oh, what did she say?
She stated that West's singular priority is the, quote, West show.
The West show.
Yes, he is obsessed with being well-liked and well-received by the viewing audience, to the point that the women in his actual life are treated as entirely expendable.
Expendable. Wow.
He requires partners who will fold into his hidden life without complaint so he can maintain his desired public image. And jarringly, West actually nodded along and agreed with that assessment during the reunion.
He agreed with it. That is insane. I mean, if a cast member is willing to construct an entirely separate reality for the cameras and successfully manipulate real-world partners to protect that television persona, we have to ask ourselves, what are we actually watching?
Right. Are we even watching reality anymore?
Exactly. We aren't watching reality. We are watching highly produced, heavily guarded, improvisational acting.
It ceases to be a documentary format and becomes a scripted drama where the actors write their own lines to protect their personal brands. And speaking of protecting brands, we really cannot ignore the tangible, real-world consequences of this manufactured reality.
The money.
The money. The fallout isn't limited to emotional damage. There are massive financial realities of being a reality star that are deeply threatened by all this chaos.
The financial stakes are absolutely staggering. On Watch What Happens Live, Amanda admitted she deeply regrets not signing a prenuptial agreement with Kyle.
Ouch.
Yeah. Kyle insists the divorce will be, clean cut. But when you have intertwined assets that were quite literally built on a shared public persona, clean cut is a fantasy.
Especially when the primary shared asset is currently under extreme operational duress.
Right, lover boy.
Yeah. Kyle was surprisingly candid about the massive financial stress surrounding his beverage brand, Loverboy. He revealed to the cast that he had to write a $500,000 personal check to inject cash into the company.
$500,000.
Exactly. Because they had to cut costs, they've lost distribution channels, and they are struggling simply to break even.
$500,000 in personal cash just to keep the lights on. And, because Kyle tied up all his liquidity in trying to resuscitate Loverboy, he had to back out of a previous commitment to invest in Carl Ratchke's new business venture, Soft Bar.
Right, which sets up an incredible piece of irony that Carl reveals at the reunion.
Wait. So Kyle is funding the party lifestyle brand out of pocket while his personal life implodes, and Carl, the guy who famously struggled for years on the show, is actually running a profitable business.
Yes, Soft Bar is turning a profit.
Talk about a role reversal. It perfectly illustrates the precarious, almost cannibalistic business model of the reality star ecosystem.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it explains the precarious business model of being a reality star perfectly.
How so?
Well, think about the required life cycle. You go on these shows to build an audience. You have to provide intense, messy, relentless personal drama to keep that audience engaged.
Right, you have to bleed for the cameras.
Exactly. And once the audience is captured, you launch a lifestyle brand to monetize them. But the very behavior required to keep the television audience entertained, the drinking, the fighting, the infidelity, destroys the personal foundation and stability you actually need to run a functioning corporation.
That is a brilliant synthesis. I mean, Kyle's entire brand, his fundamental identity on the network, was built on being the fun, chaotic party guy of Summerhouse.
Yep.
Loverboy is simply the physical, monetized manifestation of that persona. But as his marriage crumbles and the financial stress mounts, the reality of corporate management collides violently with the exhaustion of sustaining a reality TV character.
You cannot sustain a party brand when the party is fundamentally over.
Exactly. He is desperately funding this lifestyle illusion out of pocket while his actual life implodes in front of millions of viewers. Meanwhile, Carl, who stepped away from the chaos to find his footing, is actually running a viable business.
The drama pays Kyle's television salary, but the emotional cost of generating that drama directly threatens the empire he's trying to build outside of it.
It's just wild. We started this deep dive looking at a single, shocking confirmation: Kyle Cooke kissing Sally Carson. But pulling that one thread unravels a massive, tangled knot of human behavior.
It really does.
You find a 4-year marriage collapsing under the weight of unhealed issues, accelerated by the observer effect of constant filming.
You find a highly successful medical professional acting out her deepest unhealed traumas on reality TV sets, literally seeking the chaos her day job meticulously avoids.
Yeah. You find cast members like West Wilson engaging in emotional arbitrage, orchestrating secret double lives and hiding real partners to manipulate his on-screen narrative and protect his corporate standing at Bravo.
And you find real financial empires teetering on the edge of ruin because the emotional toll of sustaining the fame has simply become too high.
It is a stark reminder that the participants in this ecosystem are so acutely aware of the audience, the producer expectations, and the financial stakes that their authentic lives become acceptable collateral damage.
It really leaves you wondering what's real anymore.
It really does. And it leaves me with this one final thought for you to mull over. If a reality star is willing to hide a genuine, loving relationship in the shadows just to protect their TV job, and if a couple's real marriage is ground down to dust to provide content for a seasonal storyline, at what point does the reality completely disappear? When the cameras finally pack up and the studio lights turn off, do these people even know who they are anymore? Or are they just left standing in the ruins of a scripted tragedy?
I mean, it certainly seems like the lines are permanently blurred at this point.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Whether you're deeply invested in this specific pop culture universe or you're just observing the human behavior from the outside, remember that there is always so much more to unpack just beneath the surface of the content we consume. Keep questioning the narratives you are handed. We will catch you next time.